This might not be the biggest update out there, but I do think it is worth discussing because it comes from Elliotte Friedman. That's that. Also, it's kind of illy timed to make this video, I guess, because the Toronto Maple Leafs, guess what? They're going to be playing a game in, 10 minutes or so? Against the Montreal Canadiens, so we've got a lot to look forward to on today's show, especially since I personally want to go out there and potentially talk about what happens in today's Habs and Leafs showdown to open up the 25-26 campaign. However, this is something that I think we can also talk about as well. It's what Elliotte Friedman said on his most recent 32 Thoughts article. As we had said, this was published last night, and we'd already made another video talking about Friedge and his update on Lane Hutson from the same article, McDavid giving the Oilers every chance to win the Stanley Cup. There is a pretty particular opening of this piece that talks about McDavid and how his contract is a lot cheaper than people thought. How there wasn't really a negotiation. How McDavid wanted to take a cheaper deal just so he can put the Oilers in a better winning position. What an absolute stud. Now, I wanted to focus on one of the other notes that Friedman has. It's thought number 13 on the newest piece. Take a look at this. Other things to watch once the phones start to buzz. Vancouver. They're trying to continue their search for a center. Toronto, a top 6 forward. And Carolina is always lurking here. Now again, that's not the biggest update in the world. It's just Friedman saying, yeah, these 3 teams, watch out. They could go out there and start to do some damage. Now, for Vancouver, it's pretty interesting. Because in the article, of course, Friedge talks about how the Canucks are continuing their search for a center, but right after, before the next thought is even presented, Friedman links Ian McIntyre's article on Braden Coots and how that guy has gotten better since being drafted and inevitably good enough to be in the Vancouver Canucks. Part of me wonders, I'm not going to wage any bets that this is going to happen. I don't think it's likely. Maybe it's a 1 in 20 chance that this actually goes down. But what if Braden Coots is that center? Like, now. What if Braden Coots is so good in the NHL's regular season that Vancouver all of a sudden says, hey, wait a minute, we might not even need a second-line center anymore because this guy's here and he's that good. Again, it's not going to be like that. Like, we're not seeing Brady Martin over here from Nashville become a first-line center, projectably for the full season for the Predators after being drafted 5th overall. Nah, Braden Coots was taken 15th. But even the fact that he made the team, becoming the very first 18-year-old Vancouver Canuck to win a spot out of training camp since 1990's Peter Nedved, just that fact alone is already ludicrous. We were already saying on Twitter, on Instagram, on Reddit, and all the social media platforms that, hey, there's no way Braden Coots makes the team. Like, he'll have a pretty good preseason, and then he'll get sent back down, and then he'll do well in the WHL, and then we'll try again next year, right? But no. The 18-year-old 15th overall pick made the team. So, now that we are in uncharted waters, territory that we have not trenched since 1990, part of me believes, this could be a Disney story in the making. This could be a Kevin Garnett, anything's possible kind of moment here for the Vancouver Canucks. Braden Coots, if he is good enough to stick around beyond 9 games, he probably would be good enough to be some sort of a middle to top 6 valuable player. And the reason I say that is because he gets 9 games, okay, if he does okay, then the Canucks are like, all right, well, we don't want to burn a year off your ELC, you're just kind of fine, you're okay, we can send you back down to the dub and then you can dominate before becoming a full-time NHLer next year and going through that entire Bo Horvat development cycle. But if Coots survives past 9 games, it's got to be because the Vancouver Canucks sees him as somebody that's unsend-downable. Like, wow, this guy is so good that we'll be making our team worse if we send him down. oh, replace him with a Max Sasson or whatever. Nah, he is so much better than everybody else that we could put in his position. If Coots survives 9 games, he gets that 10th, it's going to be because he's good enough. And I question whether or not him being that good will defer Vancouver's center search. You know, like, obviously you want to have as many good centers as you can, but we saw in previous years, Vancouver didn't really do all too well with that setup. Pettersson, Miller, Lindholm. Pettersson, Miller, Horvat. It became kind of a difficult situation to manage with ice time and guys getting different leveling of minutes. So, for Braden Coots, I'm not saying that he is going to be that good. He's an Elias Lindholm talented asset in this 2025-2026. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is, if he is good enough, could he be good to the point that Vancouver doesn't need another center? I'm not too sure. Let's talk about some of the other teams as well, because Friedman did list them here too. Toronto, they're in the mix for a top 6 forward. Really? I mean, you think about who is on that team. Matthews, Nyes, Domi, first line. Tavares, Nylander. Oh yeah, I guess there is the need for somebody else. You got Michelli in there, right? I think Michelli is probably good enough to be a top 6 caliber guy. I mean, Toronto's in a spot where they do need to get a little bit more extra oomph after losing out on Mitch Marner. You're not going to be able to replace Marner with Nick Waugh, Matthias Michelli, Michael Pezzetta, and Dakota Joshua. Those guys are just not good enough collectively to become a one Mitch Marner valued asset, even though the dollars could be seen as somewhat similar. Toronto, they've always been known for their high-flying offense and their lack to committed two-way play, but if you have yourselves another top 6 forward that moves somebody else down, I kind of wonder what that does to the dynamic of the team. Do you want deeper, middle-ish parts of the lineup rather than being so top-heavy like you've been the past few years? I'm also thinking, like, you already have Bobby McMahon in your third line with Nick Waugh. Nick Robertson's in there too. I mean, that's a pretty good team, I'd say. Just on paper, the Toronto Maple Leafs have a good group of guys, so I wonder just how far they're going to be able to go when it comes to acquiring another top 6 caliber forward. Or maybe I'm totally wrong about the lines as well. I mean, they kind of have a different setup heading into today's game against the Montreal Canadiens. Domi's on the third line. Okay, that's quite interesting. Yeah, Bobby McMahon, second-line player alongside of Tavares and Nylander. That will certainly shake things up. I guess there's room for improvement there. Unless you really think that Domi should be the guy alongside of Matthews and Nyes on the first. But Toronto could be interesting to pay attention to heading into the next little while here. Nick Waugh is a fourth-line center. Is he really that bad? I don't know. I always thought Waugh was a little bit better than that. But anyways, we have another team to talk about as well, Carolina. They're always bubbling in there. It doesn't make any surprises over here. They're always getting involved in the top names, and just seeing what they did last year. They signed Nick Ehlers. They actually got Mikko Rantanen for a little bit. They were able to make that trade go through. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me if the Carolina Hurricanes are one of the primary contenders for whomever it is hits the market in trade deadline season 2026. I just kind of wonder, at what point do the Carolina Hurricanes finally get over that hump? We know they're one team of many that's trying to actually do that. Could they meet Edmonton in the finals at some point over the next 3 seasons or so? I do think it's a possibility when you think about just how aggressive they've been and how aggressive their on-ice playstyle is. But with that in mind, I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about Elliotte Friedman's trade update. What are your thoughts on the Vancouver Canucks still looking for a center, Toronto Maple Leafs still looking for a top 6 forward, and the Carolina Hurricanes bubbling around in there too? If you're a fan of any of these 3 teams, feel free to get involved in the conversation. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to hit the like button. If you did not, then hey, the dislike button's down there for you as well. Comments help out with the algorithm, so I'd really appreciate it if you did get involved there and share your opinions. But for now, I hope you enjoyed this video. Sign on, and bye.